Good morning, everybody. The Luzerne County Sports Guys is back again for our weekly podcast. We're doing it remotely today because, I have a little allergy issue and it's hard to stay away from sneezing 100 times. So we're doing it a little remotely, but that's okay. We still got winners. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Yeah, well, welcome all the Luzerne County listeners out there. I believe I've been spreading the word to some of my friends back east, and I think we have maybe a little following going. I would just like to give a little shout-out to my one friend, Tom. I know he'll be listening to the podcast because he likes to make a little extra money during football season while he's sitting back in northeastern Pennsylvania freezing his backside, but we'll try to give them some winners. I'm coming off a six-winner weekend with 4 games, a total and a teaser. So it was a big week for me, Jim.
Well, yeah, you've been doing exceptionally well. I've been doing well as well. And the people that are listening to this, and nobody's paying a cent for this stuff, and everybody's making money, and you can't complain about that. Although people will complain about anything, But let's get started. We got the Colts. We'll go down the list. We'll skip tonight's game because it's a piece of trash, and I couldn't bet my money, so I can't tell anybody else to bet it, and I know you feel the same way. Colts and Bears. The Bears make a big change at quarterback last week, and it made a big difference. They came back and beat Atlanta. The Colts have been playing much better since that first week debacle that they had against the Jags. Colts are 2.5 point favorite on the road at the Bears this week.
Yeah, well, I played the Bears plus 2.5. I like Nick Foles in the mix. Maybe it's a little early to bring him in, but now that you played him last week, I guess they have to go with him. And I don't know how Rivers will do. Their defense is playing well, but I think the Bears at home, I know that they lost their runner Cone, but they have Montgomery, they have Patterson. I think they'll play a different kind of game plan, now that they're without Cone, the good running back. But the Bears' defense is not bad. They made a great comeback last week down in Atlanta against the Falcons, who can't seem to win a game. But I also used the Bears in my teaser plus 9.5. So the Bears is a big play for me, Jim.
Well, I guess it is. We got two angles there, a straight bet and a teaser play, so that is important. We'll go to the next game, which is the Saints, who are having a tough time this year, going up against the Lions, who beat Arizona last week. They got the benefit of 3 interceptions. The Saints opened 3.5. It's up to 4 or 4.5 now, Mike.
Yeah, I already played the Lions plus 4. I think Thomas may be back to play for the Saints, but I'm a Matthew Stafford fan, and I was on them last week out in Arizona, and they'll be indoors. They got Scalleat back. He makes a big difference for Stafford. I'm having trouble with Breeze. He can't get the ball down the field, so I think the Lions will be right in this game. If not, I think they could beat them. I mean, why not? The Saints, I know they have Kamara and all, but they were in a shootout last Sunday night, and I was on Green Bay, but I'm going to go with the Lions with 4. It's a 2-score line, so I'll take the Lions at home. Not in love with the coach, but we'll see if they get some momentum going now.
That's one thing about nobody's ever in love with Patricia, but they did win last week. They might get on a roll, and Stafford is a good quarterback. Arizona visits the Panthers. Now, Arizona, their quarterback threw for over 300 yards last week, but he threw a lot of interceptions, and they lost the game to Detroit. They're going to Carolina, who went out to the West Coast and marched up and down the field. Didn't get many times into the end zone, but they kicked a lot of field goals, and they ended up beating the L.A. Chargers with their rookie quarterback throwing a bunch of interceptions, which helped them along. So the Panthers won that game. They're a 3.5-point dog this week to Arizona.
Well, Jim, 3 for 3 here. This is my third play. I'm on Carolina plus 3.5. I like the way Bridgewater played last week. The defense played well, even without McCaffrey. They have Davis who could run. It's a home game, an early start for Arizona, coming east a little bit. It'll be the weather won't bother them. They're coming from a warm area, but I'm going to lean with Carolina. I like to take 3 with the hook at home in a game where Arizona, they struggled a little last week. They were overpriced at 6. That was too high a number for them. And now they're a favorite on the road. I can't even, I don't imagine that either. So I'm going to go with the dog. This is my third play right off the bat.
Okay, the next game, the Jaguars go to the Bengals. You got the Minshew against Burrow. Kind of an unusual quarterback matchup, but both have had their high moments this year. Bengals came off a tie last week against Philadelphia. The Jaguars lost at home against the Miami team, and they have 10 days to rest up and get ready for this game because they played on Thursday.
Yeah, I hear you there, Jim. I have no opinion on this game. I'll root for Joe Burrow. I think him and Herbert out there in L.A. Charger land, I think they're going to both be upcoming stars. But I really don't have an opinion. Like I said, I'll lean with the Bengals. Too many other good games for me to play.
I agree. The Cleveland Browns go to Dallas. Dallas has had some tough games this year. They played the Rams. That was close. They played Seattle. That was close. And, of course, they got fortunate and beat Atlanta. Of course, Atlanta finds different ways to lose every week. But Dallas is home in this game, and Dallas is a 4.5 or 5 point favorite over the Browns.
Well, it's no play, Jim, but I'll lean with the Cowboys. It's a big game for the Cowboys and the Browns, too. They're 2-1, Cowboys 1-2, but I think the Cowboys at home, I know the linebackers weren't playing last week. I doubt if they're going to be there this week, but I can't see the Browns on the road. I'm not a Browns fan. They still got to prove it to me. I mean, they have the talent, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. I think they bounce back. I mean, they were in that game with Seattle, just, Russell Wilson outplayed them, so we'll see what happens. Yeah,
they moved the ball up and down the field. Of course, Seattle, they're very prolific on offense. Their defense is terrible, especially against, they just can't stop anybody. But Dallas did play well. Like I said, they played well against the Rams, and the Rams have proven to be pretty good this year. The Browns need to run the ball. They need to take advantage of those two backs. They need to get more option, run-pass option for Baker Mayfield, who's probably not a top-flight quarterback, but can be very effective if you play a lot of motion with him. They have the wide receivers, but if the Browns are going to win this game, they're going to have to do it by controlling the ball on the ground with those two great backs and giving Baker Mayfield a little extra time to find some receivers. Minnesota and Texans is the next game. Very interesting situation here. Both teams are 0-3. I don't think anybody thought that both of these teams would be 0-3 at this point. The Texans open 3.5. They're 4.5 or 5 in this spot. I mean, neither team is playing well at all.
I hear you, Jim. I would lean with the Texans just because I think the Vikings, their defense is not what it was. They're missing some players from last year. I'd go with Deshaun Watson in this game to make some plays, but it's just a lean. It's not a play, fellas. So, but they're both 0-3. Yeah, I would figure they'd at least have one win or two of these teams. I mean, I know the Texans don't have the best coach with Mr. O'Brien, but still, Zimmer's a great coach, but he doesn't, I guess, have the players this year or something. But Cousins, I was never a Cousins guy, so I'll lean with the Texans. Maybe they get off the snide and pick up a win.
We've got Seattle. We talked about Seattle. They're going cross-country about as far as you can travel in the United States and still stay in the country. Seattle goes down to Miami. Now, I will point this out. Miami, this time of year, is very hot and very humid. And that is not a temperature that Seahawks are used to. Russell Wilson has been dynamic. I mean, 14 touchdown passes in 3 games is absolutely incredible. The guy is unstoppable. You got Fitzmagic on the other side, and this guy, he can be unstoppable as well, but there are times when he will just stop his whole team because he can throw 6 touchdowns or 6 interceptions one week to the next. He's not consistent. But this is a tough spot, Seattle's coming off, they had to play New England. That was a tough game against Cam Newton and Belichick. Then they had to play Dallas, and they had to fight hard for that. Like I said earlier, their defense isn't very good. And now they're going across country to a climate that's difficult to play, especially in the second half when you're drained and the humidity can catch you. So that is an angle that people need to watch. And so we have Seattle in this spot. I saw some 7s early in the week. It did open 6.5, popped up to 7. It's back to 6 or 6.5 now. Seattle favorite.
I hear you, Jim. Yeah, the humidity will be tough. Seattle without Carson now running back, so now they go with Carlos Hyde, who could run the ball. I did not play this game, but I may by game time, and if I do, it'll be on the Dolphins plus the 6.5 because of the travel. They're 3-0. Miami finally won a game that Thursday night. They had a little more rest. They're used to the weather down there, and like we say, Fitzpatrick. We don't know what we're going to get, but if he's on with him and Parker and they could, muster up some points because they seem to be able to score. They could probably cover this number. I don't know about a win outright, but I would. It's a big lean with the Dolphins here for me. It's just the idea whether do I want to play another game or not, Jim.
I got you. The next game is the Chargers, a West Coast team also going to Florida. They're going down to Tampa. The Chargers are still playing a rookie quarterback because of the medical issue for their starter, Tyrod Taylor. But Tampa Bay is kind of rounding into shape. You got Tom Brady down there. Of course, everybody knows that. Their head coach, Arians, who's an aggressive play caller. They got a lot of talent on this team. Their defense is playing well. And at some point in the year, you would think that Brady and all those weapons he has, including Gronkowski, are going to be very tough to beat. I don't know if that's right now. But the Chargers coming in there with a rookie, you would think they have a pretty big disadvantage, especially against a defense that's playing as well as they are. And the Chargers, their rookie quarterback, threw 3 interceptions last week. And Tampa Bay is a 7 or 7.5 point favorite here, Mike.
Yeah, I'm using Tampa Bay in a teaser minus the half. This will be the second game to go along with the Bears. Yeah, the Chargers, I like Herbert. I think he's going to be a star in the league along with Burrow. I think they're going to outdo Baker Mayfield. I really do. I like the way they play. But I'm going to lean with Tampa. Like I said, I used them in the teaser. I had them last week up in Denver. They're coming around. Tom's getting used to the receivers. Goodwin may not play again, but still you got Evans. You got a couple great tight ends. You got the running backs. The Chargers, it's a long trip. I'm not in love with their coach either, but so I'm just going to tease the Bucs because I don't like to lay 7.5, Jim.
I don't blame you. Now we got I'll mention this. We had our first COVID cancellation. Tennessee Titans tested positive. Several of their players and their staff. I think it was 8 or 9 people total, and they've canceled that game, and it's not rescheduled yet. At some point they will, but. You would think they will. But that's Pittsburgh and Tennessee, so that is off the board. That is postponed. 2 3-0 teams, and I'm sure nobody's happy about that. But that's the time we live in right now. It's definitely difficult. The Baltimore Ravens go to Washington. Baltimore, of course, did not do well against the Chiefs last week. I personally think Baltimore is very overrated when they play really good teams, and but they're not playing a really good team this week. They're playing Washington, who's got questions at quarterback. I'm not a Haskins fan, but they do have a good head coach, and they probably will get better as time goes on. But the Ravens it's not a long trip. I mean, Baltimore to Washington is not a long trip, so it's not a big road game, but they're a 13-point road favorite at Washington.
The only way I would look here, Jim, is to the Washington football team with the 13. I mean, it's just too big a number. Baltimore run the ball. Baltimore runs the ball. They run the clock. I mean, they're coming off a tough game Monday night. Like I said, Jackson, he's 0-3 against the Chiefs. I was on the Chiefs in a teaser with 10.5 last week. But I would just lean with Washington. I mean, it's not going to be no play for me.
Next game is another team that from the NFC East, and boy, I tell you, there's not too many good teams in the NFC East. Maybe Dallas is a good team, but the rest of them are looking pretty bad. The Giants at the Rams. The Rams are a 13-point favorite over the Giants. The Giants couldn't even get in the red zone last week.
Wow, that's a bad team. The Rams got so much offense, man. They're my team from way back, but they almost pulled it out last week. They scored 29 straight points against that good Buffalo defense, and for them to make that interference call with like 10 seconds to go, to me was, I don't think that was called for at that time, but that's what happens in pro football. So the Bills got that break, and they made they get the touchdown and win the game. But the Rams showed you their power offense. They're without Gurley and Cooks. Doesn't seem to matter anymore. They have enough receivers and running backs. So I don't think I'd lay 12.5 here. For me, it's a game to watch. But if you want to take a shot with the Giants, because you're talking 2 scores here, can they muster up some points? It's tough to say, but it's a good game to watch. That's about it.
Well, to me, it's the Rams or nothing. Just like but I can't lay those kind of numbers. Now I do play teasers, and you can cross a lot of numbers with the Rams here if you wanted to play a teaser on the Rams, or you could take the Giants and boost them up to 20. But to me, it's the Rams or nobody. But I can't lay 13. The Patriots go to the Chiefs. Now, this is an interesting game. The Patriots, Cam Newton, Bill Belichick. I mean, you got a hell of a coach. You got a quarterback that's playing well. You got the running game. And they're playing the Chiefs, who come off that Monday night game. And it wasn't that difficult for them. I mean, the game, they could have beaten them by a lot more than they did. I'm talking about the Chiefs over the Ravens. But, this is... Going against Mahomes is a dangerous proposition these days. This guy seems to be able to do everything. Interesting thing here is this game opened Kansas City 7, and I see mostly 6.5s with a couple 7s still out there. But money has come in on the Patriots going against the Chiefs, the Super Bowl champs, and Patrick Mahomes.
Well, this is a double play for me, Jim. I'm going to take the Patriots +7, and I'm going to tease them up to 14. Bill Belichick will have a plan probably for Watkins and Hill to slow them down a little bit. They'll try to run the ball, run the clock. Cam Newton's played half decent so far. They got a running game. He's getting used to the receivers a little bit. You got the genius going against Andy Reid, who's a very good coach. He won the Super Bowl finally, and good for him. And I just think, coming off a Monday night, it's tough to give Bill that many points. I gave them 4 when they played Seattle. I got lucky they didn't make the 2-point conversion, and Seattle wins by 5 and covers the number. And if they make that, I'm a loser. So it's tough. I went against Bill there, but I won't go against them in this game. So I'm going to take them +7. And tease them up to 14. So that's my third team in the teaser play.
Okay. Next game is interesting. We talked a little bit about how the Bills ended up beating the Rams last week, and they're going to the Raiders cross country. They're a 3-point favorite right here in Las Vegas against the Raiders. The Raiders lost to New England last week, but the Raiders were coming off a short week and had to travel across the country. I thought they played pretty well in that game for a while. And eventually, Belichick made some halftime adjustments, and the second half was kind of ugly for the Raiders, and the Patriots beat them. The Bills are the favorite on the road here in Las Vegas later on Sunday.
I'm going to lean to the Bills, Jim. It's a long trip out west out here where we are, but I'm going to lean to the Bills. Raiders have some injuries. Couple receivers are going to be out. The offensive line is a little banged up. Buffalo's defense didn't play so well last week against that high-powered Ram offense. Like I said, give up 29 straight points. But I'm going to lean with the Bills. I know we live here in Vegas and we should root for the Raiders, but I think they're going to have a little bit of problem. They're going to lose a few games here. no fans to really cheer them on. That was a big thing when they played in Oakland in front of the black hole and all, but we're not having that here yet. So maybe next year we'll be able to get out and see a game and make some noise. But I'm going to lean with the Bills. It's not a play. There's another play coming along the line.
Okay, the next game is the Eagles at the 49ers, and the Eagles have been absolutely horrendous this year. Wentz is having a bad year. The 49ers they're like a MASH unit, but they went to New York last week, and they just manhandled the Giants. Mullen is the quarterback right now because of Garoppolo being hurt, but Mullen is actually very good. And I don't know that it's a drop-off at all to Mullen. And I know that the head coach likes Mullen quite a bit. He played well last week. They're very tough. The 49ers are the Super Bowl losers from last year, and they're supposed to be a Super Bowl loser jinx. But it doesn't seem to be working this year. They're 2-1. They've looked pretty good. Philadelphia is 0-2-1. They tied Bengals last week, and Philadelphia is just not playing well. I just don't know what to expect from this team. I can't lay the number because it's 7 or 7.5 with the 49ers. But you would expect Philadelphia to bounce back at some point and play some representative ball, but I just don't know when that will be.
I hear you, Jim. I think Kittle's going to be back for the Niners this week, but you got to look. The Niners beat two bad teams, the Giants and the Jets, but still, the Eagles struggled with Cincinnati and Burrow at home. So I would think the bounce back. 7.5 is a little tempting. Maybe I lean with the Eagles a little. It's no play for sure. I couldn't bet these teams. Like I said, Niners are banged up, but Kittle's going to return. That'll help the Eagles. I just don't know what they're doing. Since they won that Super Bowl, they all started writing books. Peterson, they claim, he's the next coming of Lombardi, maybe. I don't know, but I'm not impressed with the guy at all. He wins games, but right now he doesn't look so hot. And Wentz, I don't know what. Wentz is definitely having a problem. He's really struggling. His accuracy is down. He fumbles, he gets hit, he's afraid to run now because he's had some big injuries. I just don't know what to think. That's one of our teams, Pennsylvania guys that we are. We want to see them do better, but I'll lean with the Eagles, but it's another game, not a play for me.
Well, yeah, we are Pennsylvania guys. We're both come from that area, and but we're not homers any stretch. We just look at the point spread. We just want to make money, and that's where our home team is the money. And we got a Monday night game, which is interesting. The Falcons at the Packers. I don't know what to say about the Falcons. They put up points. Matty Ice, Matt Ryan can put up points. Their offense moves the ball a lot, but man, they find ways to lose that are just unbelievable. And they're going to the Packers, who are red hot. And Aaron Rodgers is having one hell of a year. They played the other night in New Orleans. They handled that game well. They're 7 or 7.5 point favorite in this game over the Falcons.
Yeah, this is my final play. It's another double play, Jim. I'm going to lay I laid the 7 already, and I put them even in my teaser to round out that teaser with the Patriots, Tampa Bay, and the Bears. I have a big wager on Atlanta not even to win 7 games, let alone 8 or 9. So they're 0-3. I believe they're going 0 for 4. You got an offense, but you have no defense. The coach, like we bring up, I don't know if they ever recovered from that Super Bowl with the Patriots. It seems like they get big leads, and now Shanahan's not there. You can't blame him, so I guess you got to blame the coach. But Matty Ice, that put up some points, but Rodgers and Cam Newton this year, to me, got a chip on their shoulder. They're on a mission. More, I would say, Rodgers, because the Packers didn't draft any receivers to help the guy out. They go and draft a quarterback named Love from Nevada, who knows when he'll see an NFL start. I don't know. I wasn't very impressed with him up in Nevada, but Green Bay looked good Sunday night against the Saints. Jones can run. Rodgers makes receivers that maybe worked at Walmart last year. I don't know. All of a sudden they're catching all kind of passes. He makes it look easy. To me, he's the best of all time. He's not the GOAT. He's the best of all time, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers. And I believe they'll roll. Remember that out there, folks. He's the BOAT. That's a new one for all you listeners and my partner there, Jim Feist. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. I love that. Mike, I know you've been red hot in the NFL. I know college ball, you also play college ball. I don't know if you have anything you want to talk about. And, of course, there's baseball and basketball. And the L.A. Lakers manhandled the Heat last night.
Yeah, I didn't really watch much of that, Jim, and now the Heat have some injuries. No, I'm not a big NBA guy. I would say it looks good for the Lakers and good for them. That's not my main thing. Baseball, I made 2 series bets. I took Cincinnati against Atlanta. They lost a tough first game yesterday, 1-0. They load the bases twice. They leave 13 men on base. They made numerous base running mistakes in that game. Trevor Bauer pitches 7 innings, 12 strikeouts. The guy pitched his heart out. They get a loss, so maybe they rebound today. And then I took St. Louis over San Diego, another plus money in a short series because they've had great luck against San Diego, who will be without 2 of their main pitchers, Clevenger and Lament. So I knew that would hurt them. And yesterday the Cardinals pull out Game 1, and now today they got the horse on the mound, Adam Wainwright, who's pitched in many of these games over the years. So I'm looking for them to close it out today over to San Diego. I mean, San Diego did have a good season, but you got to remember it was 60 games, and every time in a full season they get a lot of high praise. This is the year. They're like the Browns. I'm tired of hearing about it, but finally they did something and made the playoffs. It's been a long time, but I'm on the Cardinals. I think they'll close them out today. I'm a Yankees fan, so now they got to go against Tampa, and Tampa, I think, beat them like 7 or 8 times this year, so maybe even more. That's going to be a battle for them. It's going to be at a neutral site in San Diego, so I may dive into those. I like to make series bets. To go game by game is a little tough. You're doing a lot of guessing in my mind, so pick a team you like. I look for dogs, and St. Louis and Cincinnati were both nice pluses. Maybe I catch one or both of them, and I'll be on the plus side, Jim.
Well, it's the top of the 5th, Cincinnati and Atlanta, and they're doing exactly what they did yesterday. I lost with Cincinnati yesterday. I had a big play on Bauer in Cincinnati. I had a million ways I could have won the game, but they, like you mentioned, they just screwed up every which way they could. Finally got to the 13th inning, and then they made another mistake. They pitched to Freeman, who you'd never want to pitch him with an open base. I don't know what the hell. These managers are terrible at the decisions that they make. But they're in the top of the 5th today, and they got no runs. So, I mean, these 2 teams have now played 18 innings and scored 1 run. So that's ridiculous. And
you're right. They left the bases loaded earlier today, Cincinnati. But, yeah, you got to walk Freeman and let the next guy beat you. That's all. That was terrible.
Yeah, it was.
That's when you're betting sports. They're the intangibles that we say, the intangibles with these coaches, whether it's football and clock management, whether it's baseball, do you bunt, do you send a runner, do you walk a guy, baseball and football, there's things you got to watch for, but, basketball not as much, but, you got, football is the clock management and some other things, when to go for it, what to do when you have a lead, a lot of intangibles involved. We just got to hope we're on the right side, but we're trying to make people some money, and the last 2 weeks have been very good, and I'm hoping we have another good weekend, Jim.
I think we will. One of the things I'll bring up is we talk about coaches and managers and stuff like that. One of the things I look at when I begin handicapping a game is who the coach is. And because good coaches with a good track record that make good decisions over a long period of time will make you money over guys that don't make the right calls, as often as they should. And you really have to know who your coaches are and what they're capable of. And that is a big part. And a lot of people just talk about the quarterbacks and the running backs but they don't got to look at the coaches, because the coaches are making big decisions, and that is an edge that you just don't want to give up. But we talked a little bit about that, and we both lost on Cincinnati, and hopefully for you, I know you bet them in the series. Hope they come back. I do not have a play on them today. Actually, I played Oakland today, and I don't expect a great pitching matchup there in that game, but I think Oakland has enough to win that one. And there's a best of 3 now. The next round it's a best of 5, and then in the final round it's a best of 7. And the thing is, you got to remember this. They're playing every day. So that's a big demand on your relief pitchers. And, when you're playing every day like that, and as you go down and get into the best of 7, those guys are going to get worn out playing every day unless your starters can go long. So that's something to consider. It's not a norm. This is not a normal year in any way, shape, or form. Mike, anything else you want to cover?
No, that's about it, Jim. I'll just say one thing with the baseball now. This Saturday and Sunday, there probably is no games. The best of 5 doesn't start till Monday or Tuesday, I believe, so they get a little break in between. Well, they got to travel to California or Texas, wherever they're going. The American League teams are going west. The National League teams are going south down to Texas and Dallas. So, but you're right. Every day, yeah, you got to watch that. That's why, I think a series bet is always the play because, it's tough to go day in and day out with baseball. But, no, I just want to wish everybody good luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Good luck to you, Mike. Continued success. Thank you.
You too, Jim. Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. We will be back next week with a wrap-up for what happens this weekend, Week 4 in the NFL. And, of course, go to jimfeist.com for all of our plays. Thank you.